What's up, everybody? It's the Tabletop Tyrant, and today I want to talk to you about the Skaven for Age of Sigmar and using them in Warhammer the Old World. Now look, it's no surprise I have been about the Skaven for a while. I've been reading the Gotrek and Felix books. What can I say? I recommend Skaven Slayer. Demon Slayer's freaking fantastic. It's got some good stuff. Dragon Slayer, you get a little bit of Thanquil and Bone Ripper in there. Thanquil's fantastic. The Skaven personalities are utterly hilarious, and I recommend Skaven Slayer for any Skaven players out there that want some good fantasy lore. Now, let's talk about the Age of Sigmar models. Now, there's a couple hurdles you might have to overcome. Personally, I don't care if you use round bases and round movement trays or whatever. Some people do, so be mindful of that. But I really don't see a lot of people hooting and hollering over it unless you're going to tournaments. Now, you can put them on squares, or you can leave them on rounds and use them in Age of Sigmar too if you just kind of want to get a test for the game. But I am going to be assuming that you will be using squares and putting the correct base sizes with some of the profiles that we'll be talking about. So what we're going to cover today is our first look at the new set, the characters, core, special, rare, and a conclusion. We all like a decent conclusion. I'm making this video before I go crunch it at the gym and become super freaking skinny and good looking. God. I've been saying that for 8 years since I got out. Alright, anyways, let's continue here. Boom. Our first look. We're looking at 50 Skaven, 24 Stormcast, 4 pieces of terrain. Sell the rest of the stuff that doesn't matter. If you're not going to get in the Age of Sigmar, I really do think you'll make a good ROI when selling the rulebook. I mean, I normally just put it up for bid and let people decide what the value is personally, but if you want to make a certain amount of money back, I think you could probably sell the book for $50. Not be price gouging people too much. Maybe even 60 if you really want to be like that, but there's going to be other people with decent deals and there's probably not going to sell right away. Totally up to you. The terrain's cool. It's going to allow you to fill up a table. The board pieces that it comes in, look, the table's small. If you're a brand new player, you can use that for a game. I mean, a lot of people prefer 6x4. I do. 40x60 I think is a standard I've seen people play on. Look, if you're getting into this, everything in that box, even if you want to play Age of Sigmar, is going to be useful to you. 50 Skaven is a lot of minis. They're not really hard to paint, in my opinion. I think that Skaven are a little daunting because there's numbers of them. But once you get your groove going, you get your paint scheme down, it really starts flying through those clan rats. Again, this is the old clan rats. The new ones don't look very much different, though. More dynamic, but not as cluttered like a lot of models we see nowadays getting. The 24 Stormcast. Look, for me personally, I've converted some Stormcast. My buddy as well has converted the Sacrosanct to Tzeentch. Look, you can convert them, you can sell them, it's up to you. I think you can do some cool stuff with them. The hard thing is like the dudes with wings, the unit size is very small. And I'm not here to talk about the Stormcast. Do whatever you want with them. The 4 pieces of terrain are fantastic. A little bit of dynamicness on the table, allow you to move your stuff differently. And again, this isn't for someone that's looking to go into a competitive scene and start breaking people apart. This is like, hey, I want to get my buddy down on this. We're getting this set. Let's play some Old World 2. You know what I mean? Let's get into it. Boom. So, characters, you're looking at a Grey Seer and a Warlock Engineer. Now, the Grey Seers are pretty freaking sweet. Grey Seer is a wizard level 3, starts off as. They're kind of like the brains behind everything in their own mind. On the table, they have a 5-inch movement. They are weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength 3, and toughness 4. And they have 3 wounds, 2 attacks, and are leadership 7. They also have access to quite a bit of lore of magic. Now, you can look at Lore of the Horned Rat, which will be in the Skaven PDF in the description below. They have access to battle magic, demonology, dark magic, elementalism, and illusion. That is going to be found in the core rulebook. They're able to be kitted out with 100 points of magic items, and I think they honestly look like a lot of fun on the tabletop. Now, a few upgrades you can do down the line is a Screaming Bell as a mount, and also can be upgraded to a Wizard level 4. With this, I based everything off a 1,000-point list I was able to draft up. It fit the 20 clan rats, or the 40 clan rats in it perfectly to where I was at the points we needed for 1,000 points, and that's just for ease of new players. So when I didn't upgrade him to wizard level 4 or put any magic items on him yet, I figure as a new player, you're going to be learning the game and figuring it out. That's all stuff you'll figure out as you get the basics down. Now the Warlock Engineer, this one's really fun, very Skaven-esque. The warp tokens are pretty dope. You can upgrade this model to a wizard level 2, however you're limited to battle magic, elementalism, and the lore of the Horned Rat. Now the lore of the Horned Rat's not bad. However, they have these really cool things called warp tokens, and you can purchase up to 3 of them for 15 points a pop. They're single use only, and what they do is they add D3 to your casting value. However, if you roll a 1, you lose a single wound. And on the Warlock Engineer, that's going to be pretty brutal because there's only 2 wounds. Stat-wise, you're looking at movement 5, weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, toughness 3, 2 wounds, initiative 4, 2 attacks, and leadership 5. I think you get 2 really strong characters out of the starter set. The Claw Leader, I'm going to talk about a bit later. It's just, I got a new plan for him. I got my own plan for the Claw Leader. Moving on to the core. Now, there's nothing to write home about with these guys. They're your basic infantry. They're going to get freaking mauled down if you don't support them. And it looks like they're going to come in like units of 20 for Age of Sigmar, which it's safe to assume you'll be able to fill out 2 units of 20 with command for your core. Now, they have the option of taking spears, and I did buy that option to fill out points. Is it the best use of points to take thrusting spears and a shield? I think so personally. You get that extra rank of attacks. The shield you might find useless. You might just throw them in there to die, but for a new player, it's a good point filler. It's going to give someone the idea of how to run their infantry, how to deploy properly, and how to support a unit and set up things like charge. For my 1,000 points, I filled out 2 units of 20. I took banners, spears, shields, and I think a champion in both units. Now, I had to because they are a really bad leadership. I believe they're leadership 5 with the champion, leadership 4 without the Claw Leader. As far as their stats, their weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, and toughness 3. So with that, their attack's only going to be strength 3. You're probably going to be wounding a lot of things on 5s, but hey, you know what? The whole point is to tie down the front, hit them in the flank with something big, like Rat Ogres. They have 1 attack a pop with the Claw Leader getting 2, and you'll want to be proactive when deploying and moving these guys. Like I said, set up hitting your enemy in the front and having an immediate answer to their flank to be able to deal with that. Maybe thin them out too, thin out your opponent with the Warp Lock Giselles and the Lightning Cannon, which we're going to talk about here. Boom! Freaking now. So the Warp Lock Giselles, these dudes are packing a pretty mean piece. These are rats with the guns, and in my opinion, their guns are pretty freaking decent. They have a 36-inch range, their strength to 6, AP 3, cumbersome, so you cannot stand and shoot. They got magical attacks and move or shoot. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. If you move, you cannot shoot. Fair. The weapon has a little gimmick, which is like really true in Skaven fashion. If you roll a 1 to hit, you have to roll a d6. On the further roll of a 1, that model's removed as a casualty. I think it's pretty Skaven-y. I think it makes sense with their war gear. Very fluffy, and I appreciate a little bit of fluff in my tabletop games. Also, too, if you're rolling 1 back-to-back 1s like that, your hands, they're not working for you. You need to get a hand transplant, maybe buy new dice. I have no idea. It's just bad luck. Stat-wise, these dudes start off in a unit of 3. They go on a 25 by 50 millimeter rectangle base. They're 19 points a pop. They're weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, and toughness 3, with 2 wounds a pop, making that back-to-back roll of 1s just like sting a little more because you're just dropping 2 wounds at the gate. Now, ballistic skill 3 is pretty self-explanatory. For anyone that's new, you take the ballistic skill and subtract it from 7, general rule of thumb, and that's what you need to hit. So ballistic skill 3, meaning you'll be hitting on 4s in perfect conditions. Now, range, terrain, all that crap plays a factor into it and adds to your hit roll. Lastly, they have an item called Pavace, which I believe is a shield to guns on it. Grants a 4-up armor save. Now, it didn't say whether it was in shooting or combat. It just said in the front arc, which I'm applying to the shooting phase. So if I'm wrong about that, let me know in the comments below. I'm not a very avid Skaven player. That's just what I could tell. Moving on to the Rat Ogres. Now, I'm not going to go too crazy in the detail on these guys. They're dope. They're cool. They're fun. Rat Ogres, 3 models apiece. You'll be spending 144 points on these 3. Their movement 6, weapon skill 4, strength 5, toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 4, attacks 3, leadership 5. Now, they have a slew of special rules that I want to get into. Armor Bane 2, meaning on 6s to wound, you're AP 2, which is good. They have Close Order, adding to that combat res, which will make up for them not having a banner. And they have a little cool thing where if you take a pack leader on a 4-up, it's allocated to the Rat Ogre, kind of like a Lookout Sir, if you're familiar with that from old 40k. They have Scurry Away, Safe Harm, and then Frenzy. Frenzy making it so you have to charge if they're within your charge range, but you also get an extra attack for Frenzy. So hey, you can't go wrong with that. One big thing I wanted to add too is these guys are going on a 15mm square, which is great because they look a little bit chonkier and they're going to probably rank up really fine. Moving on. Alright, so the Gatling cannon machine gun thing, I'm running it as a Warp Lightning cannon. I think it's going to fit the base, which is the most important thing when playing this game. 50 by 100 mil is what your base is going to be. I think it's super duper Skaven, and honestly, the weapon itself is pretty fun. There's two things I want to cover on this cannon. It's going to be the weapon itself. Range, 8d6. Fun, random, potentially dangerous, or poopy, depending on your type of roll. If you're a dude that rolls back-to-back ones, you're probably going to be a little sad running this thing, but, you know, you played Skaven, and that's the way it goes. The strength is actually really unique. It's determined by an artillery die, which we're going to touch back on with the second part, and the weapon itself is AP3. Now, when targeting a model, you draw a straight line of the value of the 8d6 you rolled. Anything under it suffers the strength of that arty die. Now, what happens if you roll a misfire? For those that don't know, there's an exclamation mark with a bunch of sad squiggles. That means you got to roll on a misfire chart. Your weapon didn't act properly. Now, don't worry. The Warp Lightning Cannon has you covered with its own misfire chart. On a 1 meltdown, the model's destroyed. It sucks. You're losing a pretty dope mini, but hey, you know what? You misfired. On a 2 through 4, probably my favorite one, you get Unfathomable Energy. The shot is now strength 6, and you roll a scatter die, determining the direction that shot goes. It's like spinning around, green lightning's coming out of it. Really cool. When rolling that scatter die, make sure you roll it as close as you can to the model to be as accurate as you can. I've seen people roll scatter dies like on the other end of the table, and then they have to, you know, try to figure out what it is. It's easier just to roll it next to the mini. On a 5 through 6 is vzz. I don't know if that's how that actually goes, is how it's spelled. You just fail to shoot this turn, shoot again next turn. No big deal. Now this is where I decided to put the Claw Leader. So the Claw Leader I'm going to run, if I was to run it, as a Hell Pit Abomination, for a couple reasons. One, it gives a new player idea of a feel for a monster on the table, right? It's going to provide you some variety. With the Hell Pit Abominations, they're all supposed to kind of look different, so you're not really locked into the original model, which is absolutely cool and awesome, but this kind of gives you a way to add that variety, use all the models out of the starter set. The Claw Leader, you can, I think, cut apart, take the legs off, and put it on probably a stupid Skaven clan rat and call it a day. But if you're going to be using these for Age of Sigmar as well, just leave the model as it is, call it an abomination, and have fun with it. It's going to teach you how to use monsters, how to implement them. It's going to help you cover your other unit of clan rats on the flank. There's a lot of stuff you can use with it that I think is very useful to a new player. If you want to down the line drop it and put a regular abomination, you can. I don't see why you would. I would just run 2 at that point, but hey, that's just me. Let me know what you would use it for down below. I would actually be really interested to hear. Moving forward, boom. So to conclude this video, the Age of Sigmar starter set is going to be pretty freaking fantastic for anyone looking to get into Skaven. I think it offers a unique range of models. The 2 units of 20 clan rats can be made to a unit of 30 later on down the line. There's a lot of stuff that you can do, and I just feel like it's a really great foundation for a new player to like really grab, get into, paint. It's exciting, new minis, and just move from there. Skaven in the lore are freaking fantastic. It blows my mind to this day that they got a legacy PDF. I mean, I get it with the timeline, I guess, but my point is, like, with Vermintide and all those games that are out for the old world and Skaven, like, it's just a little bit odd to me, but that's just me. It's a personal opinion. I don't think that they should have PDF'd it. They should have gotten an actual army, but maybe this has been in the works for a while, and that's why we got the PDF. Links in the description for any of the PDF rules that you want. I'm going to list the old world builder in there too, so you can play around with your own list, make your own stuff, look at the special rules. It's really cool. The army is completely free rules wise, minus like the core rule book. But I mean, honestly, the community's been real great at making little cheat sheets, you know, answering questions. Ask your local Facebook or whatever community about Warhammer the Old World if you're interested in it. Ask me. Hell, I'll be as helpful as I can to get people into it. It's nice to see new blood come into the hobby. Check out my other videos. I have some lore videos. I have some other breakdowns. Now, I'll be doing a full-fledged Skaven army breakdown here. With summer break being around the corner, my time's a little more constricted because my kids aren't in school. It's normal, right? We all understand how school works. We've all been there at one point in time. However, I am going to be pumping out a lore video from now on Mondays, and a beginner video or an army breakdown on Friday. That's going to be my thing. Currently, right now, this is just going to be me rambling. I'm working on some Chaos Dwarves, having a bit of fun, doing up some Corn Chosen. Here's a picture of them. I'm just having a lot of fun with the hobby at this point right now. I haven't been able to get very many games in at this moment. Just working on kind of getting my stuff painted up and done up. Any questions, comments, concerns below, let me know. Everyone, it's good to see y'all again. I like making these videos. Hopefully you found a little bit of use out of it. If not, yes, sorry. Here it is. You know, I'm not getting rid of it. But at the end of the day, guys, you know, it's been a blast. I have a lot of fun doing this, you know, and I want to say thank you to all of you that are here and watched it to the end. It really does make this a lot of fun for me. 662 homies on the channel. That's fantastic to me, and it's mind-blowing, and I'm thankful for it. So everyone, I'll see you back on Monday. I got a lore video. I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna cover the Grey Seers, you know, and we'll go from there. All right. Any questions, comments, like I said, concerns below, let me know. Any recommendations that you want to hear about the lore down below, let me know. Everybody, freaking peace.